maya kia ina kuan. E kriko kawama. E ko mua puliki mai mako e huiana kia hala ai kupono. E ia no I kawai. Au upu mai gaya kawai ne iana I kawai. E upu mai gaya kawai ne upu mai gaya ukuwa makana hua. E upu mai gaya no na hine he mana no kupono iki e mana aloha I. You know, a lot of people don't talk about this when it comes to the history of Hawaii. Men and women have changed the course of our history. In fact, if you think about it, one of the most powerful women in Hawaiian history has been lost in Hawaiian mythology. Her name was Pele, the goddess of fire. To me, Pele is more than that. She's actually my ancestor. She was born in Tahiti, grew up in a home where her father was the ranking high chief and high priest for human ritual sacrifices. That wasn't for Pele. Kuvahailo was brutal in the way he managed his affairs in Tahiti. So Pele decides she's going to do something they haven't heard of or done, or any woman's ever done in a long period of time. She's going to take her brothers and her sisters, and she's going to get out of there. Because she heard that there is a place called a Puhonua north of Tahiti. And where does she end up? Right here. Puhonua. Her journey starts at Kauai, and she makes her way from Kauai to Oahu, Oahu to Molokai, Molokai to Maui. This was Pele's last residence. She actually lived for a while here in the northern part of the island of Maui before she went to Hunu'ula, what is known today as Wailea. It's actually Hunu'ula, where Pele spent her last days before they were invaded, and then she was forced up to Haleakala, where she is buried to this day. We don't know where because the people who buried her took their own lives, so they would never disclose where they buried her bones. But there are 3 hills that are named for her. In Haleakala, there's Pu'uhamo-Opele, Pu'uopele, and Kaiwi-Opele. Kaiwi is the key, because Kaiwi means the bones. In 1921, Dr. Kenneth Emery and his crew of students were conducting some surveys up in Haleakala, and in Pu'uhamo-Opele, they actually found the burial remains of a woman buried in Haleakala. Whoever she was somebody special. Because think about it. We're talking way back in the 1600s, somebody scaled 10,000 feet, and then another 1,000 feet into the crater, 1,000 feet into this crater, to bury this woman. Pele was just one of many. We were just talking recently about some of the more recent women that really changed the course of Hawaii's history. When Kamehameha was conquering the islands, he was given, or a young woman was given to him as a wife. But she was very, very young. She was only about maybe 11, 12 years old. Her name was Keopolani. Keopolani would give birth to the only children Kamehameha would have through her line. Keopolani was actually born over in Pihanaheao, over on the other side, almost central Maui. If you're going to Waihe'i or Wai'ehu, there's the remains of the heiau. That is where Keopolani was born, of a high-ranking chiefess and a high-ranking chief. So Kamehameha knew that in order for him to really demonstrate his power, he needed to have the one woman across the islands who had all the power, but she was still just a child. When he finally invaded Maui, came through Iao Valley, Kalani Kupuli was left to defend the valley. Kamehameha's objective was to acquire this one child who had all this power. He finally caught up to her and her grandmother on the island of Molokai, and there on the island of Molokai, Kalola was facing death and she was passing away. Out of respect for Kalola and the little Keopolani, Kamehameha decided to stop his forces and just wait until the period passed when Kalola passed away. And he grieved with all of them. Then he took Keopolani and all the women that were given to him, and they stayed in his entourage, and he never married her or consumed the relationship until she was old enough to become a woman. Kamehameha was already past his 30s. Keopolani she wasn't even a teen yet. So when Kamehameha gets older and his children grow up, they're the only ones that are allowed to play on top of his chest. And he would tell people that when he refers to his children, he would call them his grandchildren. And even at that young age, they, because of their mother, still outranked him as a high chief. Why am I sharing that? You guys, you have the power. Without you, there would be no kings, no high priests, no lawyers, no doctors. You make it happen. So when Renee told me that we were gathering for this intention of gratitude, I'm shaking already. I felt very, very honored because if this woman calls me, I'm coming. Because it's only going to be good. When an individual can bring together other like-minded individuals, women, I hope you appreciate this. There is just so much that goes on in this space, right? That if we don't get it, and I'm talking about we, the guys. If we don't get it, understand and appreciate that you need to, sometimes you need to articulate it in a way that helps bring us into that space. Now, I had the opportunity to sit and talk with Amy Hanayali Igilio. Amy is actually a descendant of the Pi'ilani line. You know Moku'ula, Sacred Island? Right. So I told Amy, I said, Amy, you are a daughter of this bloodline. You need to take your women and you guys need to go spend the night with Kihawahine, with all the Pi'ilani family. And she said, why me? I said, because women have the power. I said, these women on the other side of the veil, they're talking. But the boys aren't listening. Right? So they're going to talk to one of their daughters so that the women can start to articulate what it is we need to do. And I told her, I said, Amy, the guys just got to be ready to serve. Because whatever you are told from the other side so that we can go ahead and do it, it's only going to change the world for the better. But it ain't going to happen if we ain't listening. So, in my house, I've been married for 35 years to a wonderful, beautiful, powerful woman. You know, we talk about Keopuolani being a goddess. I've learned to recognize and appreciate because of my wife that all the women are goddesses. And if we appreciate them that way, then we need to treat them that way. If we treat them that way, the world is going to start to change for the better. All you have to do is take a look around this house and you can see that there is a woman's touch everywhere. and who's doing the serving? Gabe. So that's a perfect example of where we all need to be. Now, at the core of every woman in this room right now is what is called the spirit and breath of aloha. You all have it from the day you were born. It is that power that makes you a beautiful, intelligent, gifted contributor to this world in which we live. Aloha sometimes is a gift we take for granted because we often lose touch with it as we get older. Alo means face to face. When a child is born into this world, it is the woman's touch. It is the woman's breath, a woman's face, a woman's love the child sees and feels first. And the first thing a newborn child and a mother does is come together in the spirit of aloha. And that mother is just pure acknowledgement. Ha. That is the breath of life. It is your spirit. It's what beats deep within your soul. It makes you the beautiful, gifted, intelligent contributor that you are to all of us in this room. Continue to live so that other children, other women, will begin to appreciate how important that aloha is to their development, because that's what it's going to take to change the world in which we live. I hope and pray that from this day forward, all of you women, if we gather in another 10 years, may we remember this conversation, and let's look back at the changes that you all affected in our community. Aloha. Aloha.